Today's discussion will be on parental responsibility in the upbringing of children. Although generally we talk of parental responsibility, but the large part of the burden ends up actually with the mothers. The assumption is that mothers bond very well with the children, but some radical feminists argue that this bonding is not a natural bonding. It is just societal. Women are conditioned to feel that the responsibility of bringing up children falls upon them. And because of this, responsible parents, or rather responsible mothers, take it upon themselves to put in as much investment in energy and resources in bringing up these children, because they feel this is what nature or society expects of us. But the reality is no upbringing of children can succeed without the input of both parents. They have to help each other, they have to complement each other and use each other's strengths in order to bring up a child or a grown person, of responsibility and a productive member of society. All of us have at one time or another experienced this. When a child comes to this world, of course the child is brought by both parents, and initially there's a lot of enthusiasm on both parents because it's a novel experience. But after a while, maybe for one of the partners, the novelty wears out, and then the burden falls entirely on one person. Very rarely do you find a child brought up entirely by the father, although it is just commonplace for a child to be brought up by the mother, as we noted earlier, because the social sanction against a woman who abandons, their child or children in many instances. So because of this, women try to meet societal demands to the best of their abilities. Many of them actually are genuinely attached to the children, and they would do anything, to help them. And the upbringing of children did not necessarily be undertaken by the biological mother. It can be an adoptive mother. An adoptive mother can also have the same emotional attachments to the children, because they're constantly with them. They minister to their every need, and for many of them, there's genuine love towards these children, because they feel they have invested their time and energies. So the expectations are always on women, as we said. But there come occasions when, for one reason or another, the mother cannot meet those obligations, for example, through death, and then the father has to step in. And the father would try to recall, the methods of the mother, because he doesn't want to disturb, the the natural flow, or what seems to be the natural flow of emotions and needs. There have been interesting historical incidents in different cultures in confronting this situation where the absent mother is replaced by a father who was taking care more of the material needs of the family rather than these emotional needs. And one of the most famous is that of the upbringing of an English thinker named Edmund Gross. Edmund Gross was a child whose father was English and the mother an American Protestant. And she worked extremely hard to bring up Edmund Gross to the best of her abilities and to instill what she considered were the best values, best American and American Christian values. But she fell ill, and the father had to step in, to bring up this very intelligent child. And this relationship between the father and the son, the upbringing of Edmund Gross has been immortalized in a famous biography, just simply called Father and Son. The father was a very prominent English intellectual and associated very, very closely with the Huxley family. The Huxleys were the greatest defenders of the author of Origin of Species. This was written by Darwin. So the father stepped in and tried to instill these religious values on Edmund Gross. But it was a constant battle because Edmund Gross wanted to live his own life, to shape his own life. And the mother had given him, if you like, an overdose of American Christian values. And that was very much resented by the child. And in fact, Edmund Gross ended up becoming an atheist because of this rebellion against those imposed values on the child. So this is a cautionary tale, for parents to be aware that their children, as Khalil Gibran said, your children are not your children. Why? Because we think, because they are from our own biological makeup, then they would have all our characteristics. But this is further really from the truth, because we inherit certain genetic traits, that go back very, very, very long time back. And although they might look like us, but they might not have the same kind of frame of mind, the same attitudes. And then, of course, they would have grown up in different eras, in different environments, and this will affect their perspectives. Every society has realized that bringing up children is not simply a matter of feeding them and ramming down their throats your ideologies. I think they've recognized that you must give children not only proper values, but an honest way of approaching issues. That whatever the parents do for the children, that those for the benefits of the children, not for the benefits of the parents. But parental responsibility requires that whatever you do, you must never renege on those responsibilities. So this was the case of Edmund Gross, as a rebellion, as a way of hitting back at what he considered as personal independence, personal single-mindedness has been violated. Again, as we said, education must have priority over all other things, because you can feed a child, you can feed a person materially, but you cannot shape their spiritual way of life. And because of this, we have to be mindful always to make sure that when you bring up the children, you tell them that you are doing these things, for their benefit and not for your own personal benefit or personal glory. And talking about education, just again from my own personal perspective, at the end of the term, of course, children bring their report forms to the parents. So I played psychological games, with these children, because I wanted them to learn the lesson that whatever we are doing, it is for them, not for us. And they should take up this responsibility. So when they came with the report form and gave it to me, I said, no, what is this for? I said, oh, this is my report form, we've been told to, I feel, that I should show it to you. Then I said, no, don't show it to me. This is for you, it's not for me. So if there are any criticisms there, then you have to mend your ways. If you have any praises, it should not go into your head. So, please, this report form is not for me. You do whatever you want to do with it. So that taught them a lesson. And at one time, I met my child, playing to and from school one afternoon. So I was heading to the university, and suddenly I met him at the Odeon cinema, where there was the stage, to go to Aga Khan School. So I said, Omar, what are you doing? Why are you going home now? And then he said, we have finished the lessons, and there's not much, that we can do there. Then I said, look, you are perfectly free, to run away from school, but don't go to my house until 6 o'clock. Don't go. You can just move around, go and buy a cigarette and smoke, do whatever you want. But please don't go to my house until after 6. So I just pretended, that I was just going forward, going on with my business. And then after a short distance, I looked back, and I saw Omar going back to the matatu and going back to school. So sometimes, you have to teach a sense of responsibility, by being absolutely honest with the children, because otherwise, it will be just I'm doing everything, for my parents, because this is what they want. But I don't want this. Okay, if you don't want to go to school, fine, no problem. This is for you. So this was the case of Edmund Gross also. So the father tried as much as he could, to continue the tradition of this mother who was a strong Christian and a strong American. But the son didn't want to have anything to do with that. He thought that was a violation of his rights. He should do whatever he wanted to do. And Edmund Gross ended up actually becoming one of the most famous English atheists. So I guess this is one of those cautionary tales that parents should learn. Never impose things. Be compassionate, to the children. Treat them with the respect. It doesn't mean that every child will respond in the same manner. But as Khalil Gibran, the Lebanese poet said, your children are not your children. They look like, we own them. But in fact, we don't. And you can't control another human being in absolute terms. As parents, although we have that onerous responsibility of bringing up children, but we must do it with a sense of balance and not exceed, what is required, because the results can be disastrous. Although he was an atheist, but he wasn't a bad man. He just had his own perspectives on things, and the story of Edmund Gross and his father became one of the most famous autobiographies. In fact, it is both a biography and an autobiography, because it is about the father, and the son talks about himself and his feelings, towards what was happening around him from the earliest time when he was much younger, helpless, until he grew up, into an adult. And as an adult, he just told himself, I want to be what I want to be, and nobody in the world should have any right to persuade me to be otherwise.